How can I prevent dioxin exposure?
Dioxin is mostly from high food chain kind of foods. So it's in meat, it's in high fat dairy, anything that contains a lot of fat, because dioxin is a complex molecule. It's a big, bulky molecule. It doesn't like water, it likes fat. And it deposits into the fat of animals. And so dairy, high fat meat products, and certain fish can have relatively high levels of dioxin. One of the concerns actually with farm-raised salmon is the diet of that these farm-raised fish are fed have trace levels of dioxin, and that can build up in the farm-raised salmon to the point where if you're eating a regular diet of farm-raised salmon, that could be your major dioxin exposure source. Now, people used to worry because there was going to be a trash-to-energy plant, basically a garbage-burning plant, built in their neighborhood, and there was a lot of community opposition to these kinds of plants because they were going to be producing dioxin, and that was going to be spread throughout the community. And that's really not the concern with dioxin. It's not so much living next to a garbage-burning plant that's your major source of exposure. The major concern is that all that dioxin gets out into the environment, comes back in as a boomerang toxin in our fish or in our mostly meat and dairy, and then leads to dietary exposure. So the number one way to avoid dioxin exposure is through low-fat foods and more vegetarian sources of protein, or at least sources of protein that are not high animal fat. In terms of protein sources that are low in dioxin, we can look at lean cuts of meat. We can also look at poultry, and and ham are good high protein sources that are low in dioxin.